30th of September. Now, I've been flitting between YouTube and Facebook recently because of problems I've had with the YouTube app on my phone. However, hopefully, you're able to see this program today in glorious widescreen instead of the narrow nonsense that we get on Facebook. Now, today's programme, I wanted to look at something which is bubbling away beneath the surface in Westminster at the moment, and that is a question about the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer. And rumours are flying around the corridors of power in Westminster at the moment about just exactly what Sir Keir Starmer's big secret is. There appears to be some kind of secret which nobody in the Labour Party is prepared to talk about, and least of all, the Prime Minister. But it is in connection with the recent statements he made about why he moved his entire family from their existing house to a flat donated by a generous donor. And he only did that for 45 days. And the excuse given, or the explanation given for this bizarre move of the entire family from one place to another, was supposedly to give his son the peace to study for his exams. Now, on the surface, that sounds kind of plausible, that it would take the heat off his son if he moved the rest of his family to this flat. But on the other hand, inducing a house move on every member of your family just at the period before critical exams when somebody's trying to study is not the act that it appears to be. It would actually make things an awful lot more stressful for the young man concerned. So something about this explanation doesn't wash. Now, it's well known that Mr. Ali, the wealthy Labour donor, who lent this flat or donated its use to the Prime Minister, is openly gay. And the rumours circulating at the moment are in connection with Mr. Starmer's relationship with this openly gay donor. And the implication is obviously that Sir Keir Starmer might actually be gay, and his entire marriage might have been done for show, mainly because he felt that if he presented himself as a family man, he would be more electable. Now, we know that Mr. Starmer is an ambitious man and would do virtually anything, because we know from his political actions that he's done virtually everything he can to not be a Labour Prime Minister in order to gain votes from presumably former Tory voters. But is he actually hiding some other secret? And would it make any difference if he were gay? I mean, why hide it? There are plenty of openly gay politicians all over the place, and it doesn't affect their abilities as politicians in any way. On the other hand, he might have felt that it would attract the kind of abusive nonsense that many gay people are forced to endure just simply because they're gay. And perhaps that was the reason. But commentators at the moment are saying that they believe that this story, whatever the truth of the matter is eventually going to find its way to the surface in the next few days. The question is, will it affect Sir Keir Starmer? Some people are saying he might have to resign because he had misled Parliament, he'd misled voters by presenting himself as a family man, a heterosexual husband and father, when in actual fact he was really in the closet. Now, I'm not saying that this is true, but what I am saying is there's something going on here which bears further scrutiny. The story about moving house doesn't seem to make sense to me, at least as a father, because when my own youngest was swatting for exams, and also when he was doing his finals at university, he studied away from home in his own flat, which he actually rented with 3 other students. So there are always ways in which young people can find peaceful places to study without the entire family having to move from one location to another. So it's something strange going on there. Now, whilst we're talking about the Labour Party and the Labour government, it's also come to light that Ian Murray MP was promising before he was elected, he promised the people of Drumchapel that if he were elected and Labour got to power, that he would produce somehow or other £15 million in additional funding for Drumchapel Town Council, presumably, or local authority, to build a lot of new homes and to improve what is actually a dreadfully deprived area. Now, there's nothing wrong with the idea of promising these funds to people if you're elected, But the question that's being asked at the moment by the voters is, where is the money? Now that Ian Murray's been elected and Labour is in power, where is this funding and why hasn't it been made available? Well, the answer obviously is with Ian Murray, only he knows what's going on. But the clamour for these funds from the people of Drumchapel, having presumably voted Labour in order to get this to happen, are getting louder and louder. And so far we're hearing nothing from Mr Murray about what's going to happen, other than his compliance with the removal of the winter fuel allowance to the oldest and most vulnerable people in society. Not something which a Labour Party would rationally choose to do, but something which Sir Keir Starmer has chosen to do, presumably, and on the face of it, to save money. But why is he starving pensioners and freezing them to death when he's spending so much money in other areas such as defence and in huge infrastructure projects going on all around central England right now? Certainly he's not spending money in Scotland and seems to pay his lip service to us as a people. Now, the Labour Party, having got into power now, has had a chance, obviously, to settle in. So it's about time they started making good on some of these promises, and yet none of them have come true. Labour promised that nobody would be worse off under a Labour government. In fact, everybody would be better off, that there would be more tax on the rich, there would be less tax on working families, etc., etc. And they promised to make a country fit for working people, and omitting all of the other people concerned in the United Kingdom at the moment who are not working people for one reason or another. The disabled, the elderly, children, people looking after children, people caring for elderly or disabled people. All of these have been left out of Labour's plans completely in favour of working people, which is a mystery to me. I mean, Labour was founded on the principle of supporting working poor people, working class people. And now that seems to have shifted to, I don't know, supporting the middle classes in office jobs. I don't know. I don't know what Labour is all about anymore. All I know is it's not the Labour Party that I used to know, and it certainly isn't the Labour Party that I once voted for many decades ago either. However, Scotland continues to survive all of the deprivations of Westminster control. But recently we saw the election of Mr Finlay, this new Tory leader of the branch office in Scotland, and he made a obviously incendiary statement recently saying that the dream of independence was now dead. Now obviously this was designed specifically for the slavering UK media to plaster all over the broadsheets and the tabloids to enrage the Scots and provoke a response, which of course it has. But on the other hand, I would say to the new Tory leader of the Scottish branch office that the dream is not dead. You can't kill a dream. And anyway, independence is not a dream, it's an aspiration. But being stuck in the Union is an absolute nightmare. And that is what the Tories want for Scotland. They don't want you to have any dreams of any kind, and they certainly don't want you to be independent. They want you to be miserable and trapped in the nightmare of a union where only people in London seem to benefit from any of Labour's largesse. And mysteriously, the Labour Party has changed colour overnight. It's no longer the red socialist party of the United Kingdom. It now appears to be a sort of purple thing that's an amalgamation of Tory policies with Labour badging on the front. A kind of hybrid, if you like, a sort of chimera political party which exists actually to promulgate Tory policies and neoliberal capitalism at its base. And Sir Keir Starmer, if he has been lying about his relationship with this donor, and he has in fact been hiding in the closet all along, what other things has he been lying about as well? For example, is he really actually a Labour politician at all? Or is he just a plant that's been placed in there by the establishment because he's so close to being a Tory that nobody could really slide a playing card between the two? I suspect it's the latter. I think he's been inserted into power by presumably the establishment in London. In the meantime, we've had the unedifying sight of King Charles and Queen Camilla parading through the streets, I should say the virtually empty streets of Edinburgh, in their royal cavalcade, displaying the crown of Scotland on a cushion, where it actually, if he were really the King of Scotland, should be on his head and not on a cushion. The King of Scotland, well, Prince Charles just isn't the King of Scots. He can't be. He can't be for a very simple reason. He's never taken the oath that the monarch of Scotland is required to take. So under Scots law, he's not the King of the Scots. He is the King of England as Britain. And he is exerting his dominion, his domination over the rest of the country. And that was recently evidenced in a reply to a letter sent by the Independence for Scotland Party's Colette Walker. And they received a reply asking why the oath of allegiance was sworn to King Charles, when plainly many people who run for MP in Westminster do not want to swear an oath to a monarch. They want to swear an oath to the people who elected them and are denied the opportunity to do this. The establishment in London has written back saying that they can't change this because Britain is a constitutional monarchy, and the monarch plays a vital role in giving his assent to whatever legislation comes out of Westminster, and therefore they can't remove him from the oath, which seems a bit of a thin kind of excuse for why they couldn't just modernise the oath to have an alternative version for those who don't want to swear allegiance to a foreign king, who's definitely not the King of Scotland. And I would venture to guess that the Welsh don't view him as the King of Wales either. Even when he was the Prince of Wales, well, that was just an honorific. That was something gifted by the king in those days to his firstborn son as a kind of title which really had no meaning other than to remind the Welsh that they were under the dominion of English control. So all of this stuff about the monarchy and royalty is nonsense in a modern society. There's no need for it. You could still have a monarch who doesn't play any political role at all. In other words, a ribbon cutter. And that is essentially what the king and queen are. They are pantomime actors who are turned out onto the streets of our cities every now and again to give tourists a good thing to snap on their cameras. And look at that, there's the king and queen going past in a golden coach. It's a bit like a fairy tale, except it's only a fairy tale if you're in the coach. If you're outside the coach and you're freezing to death and you're a pensioner and you're waving at a millionaire going past, it's hardly a fairy tale, more of a nightmare, as I said earlier. So I think we can say that something is amiss with Sir Keir Starmer this week. We'll find out, I guess, what that is in due course. There were, of course, rumours surrounding the First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, former First Minister, and her husband, that she might be gay and in the closet, and that marriage was a marriage of convenience, that they were really both gay. And there is still a rumour swirling around that both partners in that marriage are gay. Now, I'm not saying that's true, but they are an odd couple, there's no question about it, but then odd couples do marry. And there may be nothing to this rumour at all, but it's certainly been swirling around. But interestingly, the media in the United Kingdom has shown absolutely no interest whatsoever in asking questions about Sir Keir Starmer's dealings with Mr. Ali and what their relationship really is or was, and whether it's true that one of the rumours, which was that Sir Keir Starmer's wife actually kicked him out and he was forced to look for somewhere to stay from his friend, and he stayed there for 45 days on his own, is the real story or not. I don't know. Maybe in the next few days we might find out if any of this is true or not. But there's definitely something fishy going on within the Labour Party at the moment, and remains to be seen how it all pans out. But either way, I think demands for Sir Keir Starmer's resignation, if it comes out that he's lied about his entire personal life and family life, it does, I think, hold some relevance, because if a man like that is prepared to lie about something so fundamentally human as his own sexualities, then what else has he lied about to get into the position he's in at the moment? That's it from Inde-Car today. I hope you enjoyed today's broadcast. There's lots of comments coming up here as well. Thank you very much for those. I'll hopefully see you again very soon. Please, if you can, keep donating to my crowdfunder. I'll try to post a link later today, so that you can do that if you like. In the meantime, enjoy the last day of September, going into October now. Who knows what the next week will bring for Sir Keir? But maybe this is just karma. After him freezing a lot of old age pensioners over the winter, perhaps this is it coming back around to bite him. But it's funny how the BBC and the mainstream media, the national newspapers, don't want to pry into Sir Keir Starmer's background. And I wonder why that might be. I'll see you soon. Bye bye for now.